when we solve word problems involving averages, we need to keep in mind the basic formula for an average. So an average is simply the sum of a list of figures divided by the number of those figures. Let's do a few word problems to sort of warm up. So on page 3, we're going to start with the first problem. It asks, what score must a student make on an algebra test to have an average score of 90? So, your average must equal 90. That's one piece of information. Okay, so he needs an average score of 90 for the grading period if his others, or what score must the student make to get an average score of 90 for the grading period if his other scores were 88, 84, and 92. So it looks like he's already taken 3 tests, he's gotten his scores, he's about to take his 4th test. So there are going to be 4 figures when calculating average. So in this formula over here, this bottom number is going to be 4 because that's how many tests there's going to be. And then we just sum up everything. You have an 88 for the first test plus 84 plus 92. And here's the tricky one. The last one we are unsure of. I'll zoom in on that. We're unsure what the score is. We're trying to figure out what that is. So when we don't know a number, remember we use variables. So why don't you just go ahead and put an X in there, showing that we don't know what it is yet. There's an X right there. Now, if you remember from our previous formula, we need to set this entire thing here equal to the average. And the average can be substituted for 90. So we already know that. So let's go ahead and put this equal to 90. And all we have to do is solve for x. First thing you want to do, of course, is get rid of that 4 on bottom. That's causing a lot of problems. And we do that by multiplying 4 to each side. So that way this cancels out here and you're given 360 here equals, so let's add up all of these numbers here, and so 92 plus 84 plus 88 all equals 264. 264. Okay, I got this a little off. I'm going to rewrite this right below it. Okay, don't look at that. And we have an x that cannot be added to it. Now to solve for x, we simply subtract 264 from each side. So we can isolate it. Once we've done that, we need to resolve that subtraction and you'll get your final number. So 360 minus 264 equals 96. So what we just figured out, given these 3 scores over here previously, the 4th test must be a 96 for the student to average a 90 overall. Let's go ahead and try one more problem. Problem number 2. So the average temperature, so you know one piece of information now, you know the average. The average temperature for 3 days was 19 degrees. So for 3 days the average was, right up down here, average equals 19 degrees. What must the temperature be on the 4th day to make the average temperature during the 4 days 21 degrees? So here's something that's a little bit different. The first average is just given for 3 different days, and we're trying to find an average, or we're trying to find a number having to do with the average for a 4-day period. So what I suggest you do, if this is going to be the average for 3 days, you can simply write out 3 separate days like this, and that could represent the temperatures for the first 3 days. And why will that help us? Well, when we're trying to figure out the 4th number here, you can just put an X and you divide all this by the number of figures. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. This should be set equal to the 4-day average, because you have 4 figures. And that's 21 degrees. Okay, so let's go ahead and isolate this. Multiply by 4, multiply by 4 over here. These cancel out. And 21 times 4 equals 84 over here. So 84. And let's see what all those 19s add up to. Okay, 57. So 57 plus X. Subtract the 57 from each side. And X should equal 27. 27 degrees. So what did we learn from this problem? What we learned from this problem is that when you're dealing with averages, if you say the number on the bottom is 4, then the number of figures on top must match the bottom figure. You cannot have 3 days here, but say there are 4, you're averaging it over a 4-day period. It must always match up.